Detroit Dan. It's Will. It's Steve. We're back. We're going to talk about something today that I think I'm going to make some people angry,
I think
especially if you're.
I think we're going to be on opposite sides of the spectrum today too.
I think, especially if you're if you're a Tiger, if you're a Tiger fan. But before we do any of that, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, tell the people what we're talking.
We're talking about Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. Yeah, you're probably wondering, why are we talking about Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU? Well, it piques my interest, and it starts to make me question what's going on when he had a confirmed visit with the Detroit Lions at the NFL Combine. Now, it doesn't mean anything. The Detroit Lions meet with a lot of players, but this is one of the few that was confirmed and really got people chatting it up on Twitter about why are we looking at a wide receiver in the first round? Why are we looking at a wide receiver who's 6'3", 210 pounds, and runs a 4.3 40? If you have to question that, maybe football's not your thing. Maybe tennis or the new pickleball is more up your alley. 6'3" receivers who are 210 pounds and run a 4.3 340-yard dash do not grow on trees in your backyard.
William, I don't know. If you're a Detroit Lion, they do.
Well, name a 6'3" receiver on our team that runs a 4.33.
Yeah, I remember one that was 6'5" that ran 4.3.
Yeah, okay, you're talking Calvin Johnson, one of the GOATs, who was 2 inches taller and probably a generational prospect. Please do not compare Brian Thomas Jr. to Calvin Johnson ever again.
Oh, trust me, that's nothing that you will ever have to worry about me doing.
How do you feel about him?
Listen, I don't want to hammer this kid, man, because ultimately these are guys that are trying to pursue their dreams, but he's just not my cup of tea as it stands right now. At pick 29, if you're telling me I could get him like in a 7th round, then I might be interested.
Are you nuts?
No,
are you nuts?
I'm playing. But if you were telling me I could get him in a 2nd round, then maybe. But he's just missing a few things for me. I don't see elite route running. I don't see a guy who plucks the football out of the air and catches it with his hands. I see a lot of body catching. And for a guy who runs 4.3, I don't, kind of like Xavier Liggett, I don't see a guy that gets the football in his hands and looks like a 4.3 guy. I want to see you get dynamic. I want to see you making guys miss. I want to see you hitting home runs. Now, does he run by people and catch the ball in a cradle and hold on to it like a baby? He does. But that's not what I want at pick 29. That's not what I want in the 1st round. It's truly not even what I want in an X receiver. I want somebody that's going to go up, pluck that football out of the air, maybe even catch it with one hand. All right, that's the league that we're in now. That's what all the kids are doing from the little ages of 5 years old. I'm seeing these kids throwing the ball and trying to catch it with one hand. That's what everybody's practicing now. That's not what I'm seeing out of him. I'm seeing a guy who, on paper, looks like an absolute dog, and he looks like somebody that should be getting selected at the top half of this draft. But there's a reason why he isn't, and it's because he's not there yet. That's how I feel about him. So if we picked him at 29, this is going to be one of the few people that we've talked about that I might dry heave a little bit. Steve, how do you feel?
I could not disagree with you more. I don't give a shit if he catches a football with a wooden shoe. I don't care if he's got a prosthetic leg. I don't care if he's amputated below the knees. Yeah. He still runs a 4.3. He's still got great size.
He does.
And he's got almost Marvin Harrison Jr. stats from college. Almost. Don't go nailing me to the cross yet. 68 catches, 1,177 yards, 17 touchdowns. In the SEC, which is pound for pound the best college football division conference in the United States, in the world, you don't get that kind of production without knowing how to catch a football. I don't care if he catches it with his body. I don't care if he tries to hot hand Heaton's the ball and catch it between his face mask like in the Little Giants. As long as he catches it, as long as he's not putting it on the ground. I look at production. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he produces. My only question is, can he block? Not 100% sure. No block, no rock. That's the saying.
I get it. I'm going to tell you something, and we could probably end this podcast with 5 minutes and call it a day. Quentin Johnston, good night.
Quentin Johnston was known for dropping passes. That's different. Quentin Johnston is almost out of the league.
He's not almost out the league, but
Buddy, if he doesn't get more than 7 catches this year, he might want to start thinking about joining Shea Patterson in the CFL.
buddy, you don't get thrown out the league after until your rookie deal is finished when you get a first round draft pick wasted on you.
The first one to do it.
But I will say, man, it's just I'm not here to tell you that this guy will never develop, but I don't see it. You got to pluck the ball out of the air. You got to do it to be a first round talent. There's a reason why we're talking about him being available at 29 again, and it's because of those things.
Are you talking something that's possibly coachable on how to catch the ball in a different spot?
I don't know, man.
It's
and
coachable.
I'm not afraid to say that I don't know, because I can just say that I've never seen anyone who couldn't catch a football. Let
me introduce you to Jameson Williams sometimes.
No, Jameson Williams could always catch a football.
Yeah, I don't know. He had some drops.
So, and here's what I said about Jameson Williams, if we remember correctly. I said, when I got frustrated and I got scared about Jameson Williams, I went back and I watched his college tape. I went back and watched his high school tape where he was catching the football. So I said, wait a minute. This is a dude that can catch the football. At Alabama, did he have some drops? He did. But was he catching the ball in traffic just like he did the second half of the season for the Detroit Lions? Absolutely. Like it wasn't sometimes there's a mental focus issue. Sometimes, I mean, when people are watching your every move and dogging you at every corner and talking about like everything that you do, and you've dropped a couple passes and it becomes a thing, it's a point that of emphasis for a little while, and it makes it a little bit of a hard thing to do. But when you come out of it, you come out of it. When it's just a thing that you catch the ball with your body because it's just something that you've did all your life, it's going to be hard to change. When you haven't been a plucker of the football your whole life, now, is it something that he can do, but he's never been opened up to it because he's just been so much bigger and faster than everyone else? Maybe, hopefully, if we draft him at 29, that's what I'm going to be praying on. But if he's just not a plucker of the football, then it's not going to matter how many balls he catches next to Amon-Ra St. Brown at practice. What is it? 201, 211, 232, whatever the number is. It's not going to matter to me. In my opinion, I hope that I'm wrong, but I have personally, and I don't know. I don't know for sure. Maybe you guys in the comments have seen people who couldn't catch that just turned into guys that have phenomenal hands. I've been around football a long time. I've seen eyes on being at practices, seeing NFL practices. I've seen a lot of college football, play college football, and so on and so forth. I've never seen someone or teaching kids that couldn't catch a football at all or struggled to pluck the football, catch it with their hands, bring it in, all of a sudden be able to learn how to do that. So
I'm going to be Brad Holmes for a second.
Talk to me.
I'm going to pretend you're Antoine Randall L., Lions wide receiver coach.
Yep.
Hey, man, I'm about to draft a kid who's 6'3", 210 pounds, runs a 4.3 40, put up some crazy numbers in the SEC. Just a couple hundred yards behind Marvin Harrison Jr. in yardage, same amount of touchdowns. If you're Antoine Randall L. and you say, I'll teach him how to catch a football, coach, or Brad, I'll teach this kid up. I'll buy him a jugs machine myself. I'll teach him all the things he needs to learn. Problem solved. Don't worry about it, Brad. You're talking about a kid with one eensy-weensy little coachable flaw.
I don't think that it's a coachable flaw. I'd be like, hey, why aren't we drafting Javon Baker? Why aren't we drafting Malachi Corley? Why aren't we drafting, some Xavier Worthy? Why aren't we drafting Xavier Liggett? Why aren't we, I mean, it's so many guys that can catch the football for me. He's just not the dude. I'm not going to go on a guy that could potentially be a developmental dude unless we're at 6. Now, here's what I could see. I could see us drafting our guy in the first round, and I think this could be a Brad thing to do. So I could see us drafting Fisk, Johnny Newton. I mean, the list goes on. These guys that we like, it could be Quinyon Mitchell slides or whatever. And then us trading up because he slides and we trade into the front half of the second round and go get him. Now that I could get with. Say, hey, man, listen, we need an X receiver. We need a big guy. All these other guys, the Donnie Mitchells and, the top tier guys have gone. And now there's still a guy available that we think could help us. And we're going to go up and move up in the second round and go get him, I could get with that. But drafting him at 29, I would be disappointed, to be honest, in hopes of being proved wrong. But because I'm not going to sit up here and say that I don't trust Brad and his ability to evaluate talent, but I would be a little bit disappointed if that's what happened at 29.
I will bet you a steak dinner. Brian Thomas is a first round pick and he goes before 29. No chance he sees the second round. No chance. Now he's not my favorite wide receiver in the draft. He's probably not even my fifth. He's probably not even in my top 5. But like I said, what piqued my interest is he was the only wide receiver that had a confirmed. Now I've heard some rumors, I've heard some rumblings, but when certain people tweet out certain things, I take their word for it. I've seen a lot of people tweet out some other stuff that other receivers had some interviews as well. I don't know that I buy it. I'm not going to mention any names and put it out into the atmosphere because I personally don't know. But Brian Thomas was confirmed. So that's what got me interested. So that's when I started digging, like, man, he's got great size. He's got great speed. He's got great production in a very, very tough football conference. Not like he's played in the MAC.
All I'm going to tell you is this. I hope you're right, because that's 2 LSU receivers going in the first round. That's Roma Duce going in the first round. That's Harrison going in the first round. I mean, when we start doing these numbers, that means at 29, there's going to be a defender there that's an absolute dog. We got a ton of offensive linemen, a ton of quarterbacks. We got Bowers is going to go in the first round. I mean, there is guys that are going to, these cornerbacks, man, if you're telling me that he's another guy that we can put on that list to go in the first round, please. I hope that you're right, because if you are, then the guy that we're going to have to be able to draft there at 29 is going to be an absolute beast.
Yeah, I don't want Brian Thomas to be the pick, but if whatever Brad sees in him, if he sees the same things that I see, and if he sees how he catches the football is really a problem, I just think that's something that can be fixed. So if he looks at him and says, I love everything else, I just got to teach you how to catch a football a little bit differently, I'm okay with it, because I like his size, I like his speed, I like his production. I like that he produced at a high level in the SEC and not like the ACC or the MAC or the Big East or something like that. That's a weaker division or weaker competition. Like, he's going up against the best of the best. I don't care how he's catching a football. Point is, he's catching it. Is it a little different in the NFL? Is there less separation? Yeah, there is. But I feel like the hands thing can be coached up.
One of the things that I really like, and I tell you, we talk about it here all the time, is that as a defender, I like to make the football field small. And the way that you can kind of combat the football field being small is contested catches and having a very large catch radius. If all your catches have to be here and here and here and here, right, your catch radius isn't all of this space. So I think it's a huge thing. Because even when I think about Amon-Ra isn't the hugest guy, but his catch radius is all of his body. Like, if it's anywhere near him, you can plan on him catching it for the most part. And I think that's huge. So that's what is kind of the difference for me. You lose that 6'3" if he's not stretching out and using, his full catch radius, his full arm's length. But if he's a Detroit Lion, I'm going to be hoping that he gets it right. I'll tell you that.
I don't even think Amon-Ra St. Brown is the best pass catcher on the Detroit Lions.
Who's the best pass catcher?
Purely catching a football, probably Sam Laporta. That boy snags footballs out of the air. I will say Amon-Ra St. Brown is just elite at route running. But when I see Sam Laporta, like, I see him fully extending, catching footballs. Like, he's got those big old tight end hands. And when a football hits him, he's bringing it in.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're splitting hairs as far as the catching go. But I just don't see Amon-Ra as an elite route runner. Honestly, I think he's phenomenal at finding holes in zones. I think he's phenomenal at understanding what the coverages is that he's looking at. But when I talk about route running, I talk about the speed is which you get it in and out of your breaks. And I don't think he's got crazy speed getting in and out of his breaks, but I think that he is a guy that has that computer going. When he's on that field, he can look and see what that defensive end and be on the same page as Jared Goff and understand, like, hey, we got one high safety. Hey, he's bailing. Hey, these guys are in cover too. Hey, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they have 3 years of chemistry.
Yeah.
It helps a lot as well.
Yeah.
Who's your number one receiver in this draft? Just curious. No wrong answer. Your opinion.
Honestly, man, my favorite, it's kind of a double-edged sword. My favorite is Roma Duce, but the number one receiver all around in the draft is Marvin Harrison, hands down. I think if you watch the film, you can't argue or contest that.
I fuck Marvin Harrison Jr.
I mean, I get it.
Fuck him.
I get it.
I think Rome Odunze is better. I don't even think it's close.
I love the physical nature that he brings to the game. I'm worried that he's going to be a Chicago Bear, and I don't want to deal with him in the NFC North.
I hope not. I hope you're not right about that. But yeah, I'm not. Marvin Harrison Jr., look, he's great. He's going to be good. But this is off topic. We're not talking Brian Thomas anymore. Let's just talk wide receivers for just a second.
Yeah.
What Rome Odunze does is he's more of a junkyard dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's not as big, but he's just as fast. He's just as polished. He's just as good. So what's the difference is the intangibles. Who do you think is going to put their head down and try to run through 3 defenders? Is it Rome Odunze or is it Marvin Harrison Jr. wearing Louis Vuitton and Apple Watches in big games, just trying to look flashy?
Oh, it's going to be Rome, but when you get into the route running, it's not close. Marvin Harrison is on another level. It's not close.
Will Johnson put him in his back pocket.
Hey, listen, you're not gonna ever hear me say nothing bad about a Wolverine.
Just saying. Never saw anybody body up Rome Odunze like I saw Marvin Harrison get with Will Johnson.
Hey,
just saying.
No arguments here.
So realistically, Lions picking at 29. If the pick is receiver, realistically, those Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze are gone. Who's your number 1 at 29?
Ooh, golly. Probably Xavier Liggett, man. But I love Malachi Corley. I just don't think that he would be the pick at 29. It's too high. He'd be a guy that I'd be trying to get at 61, and I know he probably won't be there at 61. You probably have to trade up a little higher to get him. But if I'm picking at 29, it'd probably be Xavier Liggett, man. He goes up and plucks that football. He's got the speed. He's got the size. He's built like DK. But I just think hot take, I think he's going to end up being a little bit better than DK.
Interesting. It's not where I thought you were going to go with that.
Where do you think I was going?
I thought you'd say Xavier Worthy all day since he was your mock draft receiver that you caught a lot of heat for.
I love Xavier Worthy, man, and I think that a lot of people are they go back to that Will being an idiot thing. Like I just drafted him because he ran a 4.2.
Facts. Will is an idiot.
Yeah, I mean I am an idiot, but I'm not an idiot for those reasons. But I would never draft a guy because he ran a 4.2. It's not that's just not a thing for me. But
yeah, people wanted to compare him to John Ross from Washington back in the day. Completely different. John Ross literally knew one route and one route only. Hey, when the ball snapped, run in a straight line as fast as you can. Yeah, and his 40 time did get him drafted. There's other guys who have had phenomenal 40 times who've done just fine. I had someone challenge me and say, name a player who ran the fastest 40-yard dash at the combine and did anything in the NFL. First name that came to mind for me was Chris Johnson of the Tennessee Titans. Should have been a Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler, 2,000-yard rusher, but it happens. Yeah. It's a running back, not a receiver. I get it, but speed isn't everything. We don't look at just speed. John Ross was strictly a route runner, or not a route runner, a fly runner. Just, hey, run that fly route, nothing else. Look over your shoulder in 3 seconds, the ball's going to be coming.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it as far as I can.
Yeah, I don't think I see that with Xavier Worthy. I think he's a little bit more polished. He's not elite, but I think he's a first-round talent. And on top of that, you put him, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, the 2 best running backs in the league. Like, you talk about defenses having to cover some space. Well, that space is being moved across very fastly.
Yeah, man. The thought of it, and that's what that was, man, to be honest. We talk about all the time when we do our mock drafts, we're trying not to have the same mock draft. So we come on here and say, yeah, Steve drafted this guy. I drafted this guy too, whatever. But I like these defenders. But if I'm being honest, the thought of Worthy, J-Mo, Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra, David Montgomery,
Tom Kennedy,
a phenomenal offensive line, Tom Kennedy being on the practice squad. It makes my heart. It makes my heart just.
In that scenario, hey, Jared Goff, pressure's on, buddy.
Oh yeah, you got to get it done.
No reason to fail.
Yeah, you got
no reason this offense isn't scoring 35 points a game or more.
Yeah, 100%. But Xavier, I think, is a kind of a similar thing, and even though he doesn't look like a 4-3 guy when he's on the field, he looks like a 4-4 guy. I don't want to make him look like act like he looks slow, but he looks just like a big physical guy, man. And I think he's only going to get better. I think we're only cracking the surface of what he can do on a football field.
I think he's going to be a stud. I think if I'm picking at 29, it's either him or I'm with you, Xavier Worthy. At one point, I was really high on Troy Franklin. He's kind of off my radar now. Not really interested in Troy Franklin anymore. He was very, very high on my list at 29. If the cards fall right in free agency, I was looking at Troy Franklin, but wasn't overly impressed at the combine. I think he's a solid number 2 second round pick. I don't think we're going to be picking a wide receiver in the second round, especially I don't think he'll be available at 61. So I kind of just took him off my radar.
Yeah.
So, guys, we've talked a lot of wide receivers today. We started off with Brian Thomas. Just caught my curiosity with him getting a formal interview with the Detroit Lions. We kind of floated into some other wide receivers, some options for the Detroit Lions. Never know what's going to happen in free agency. We could just load up this offense and just say, hey, fuck it. We're going to go out and score 42 points a game and hope our defense only gives up 41. We don't know. I'm not saying that that's the route I want to go, but it's just an option. It's just something to keep in your heads. Leave some comments down below. Hit that like button. If you're new to this channel, guys, please subscribe. Helps us out greatly. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.